welcome home. It's Irish Family History with curious news and notes, celebrating our 4th year of this podcast at the Irish Roots Cafe, where every day's a holiday and there's always room for one more. One of 6 broadcast series from the head school at irishroots.com. I'm Mike OLaughlin, your host, publisher of rare Irish books and information on every county in Ireland since 1978. Be sure to read our blog, complete with links to click on from this podcast, and search our master index and books for free. Molly, wet the tea. Katie, bar the door. Sweeney, clear that floor and bring out the Irish dancers. It's time we get this show on the road. Oh, and that's right, it is. It's show number 170. And among today's topics at the Irish Roots Cafe, the family name of the day is Weir, and we're also going to put Handibode or Handibody in there for a couple of notes. Number 2, the Irish county is Westmeath, searching for Collins, Callan, Kealy, and Barnes. Number 4, curious news, Lawrence of Arabia tied to an Irish castle. Number 5, video of the month, 9 seconds of bleating sheep from County Westmeath. Number 6, curious note, a Buddhist temple planned in Ireland. Number 7, a 1-minute podcast by Mackinac. And be sure to remember, we've got 7 podcast feeds out there. They're all for you, and most of them, we've got free ones on every single channel, so take a listen to that on iTunes or all of them on our webpage at irishroots.com. Oh, and one more thing before we get to the notes for the week. Now, we do have an enhanced Irish Family History podcast that has photos and clickable links in those photos when you listen, if you have iTunes plugged in. So remember that, too. We've got just this regular old audio version and then the enhanced version. But let's take a look at what's happening this week at the Irish Roots Cafe. Number 1, Renata is busy with her Irish class, and she's deciphering the secret code that appears to be the Irish language to us beginners. And some of the students are beginning to rally for her to put out some more podcasts because they've gone through the first 21 or so that we put together. So I'm trying to put a little pressure on her too. Number 2, the Irish Song and Recitation podcast, season 3 is well underway. Just got through. Matter of fact, we've got Renata singing in the chorus in that, and plus a couple of songs coming up of hers, both in the Irish language, I think. So get ready. The 3rd one's on its way up. And number 3, with some help from our friends, we've now done some groupings to our Irish Family's DNA project at Family Tree DNA, and we might make it a little bit easier to make sense of all those numbers and figures now that we've got that help. I'll have more on that next week. I'll give you a better report on that, but it's being done, and it should be better right now even, I think. And what do we got coming up next? Oh, yeah, we're going to have a little bit of the 1-minute podcast. And this week, it's going to be from the Hello Fada podcast again on the Irish language for the curious. Let's take a listen in. Hello Fada, it's Renata, and she's the host of the Irish Language Podcast, and I'm there for lighthearted humor, you know what I mean? And she's going to cover today, we're covering Mackinac, an old Irish saying. I thought you might enjoy that and give you a flavor of that podcast episode. I think we talked about just about Mackinac and some of the so-called prefixes before Irish names, and I think you're going to enjoy it. It's coming up here in just a second. And today we're going to talk about Mackinac, and I've heard people say, by Mackinac, an Irishman you'll always know, they say, because he wears the Irish for his name each and every day.
Oh, you have to say that again.
I do.
You do. I want to hear that again.
Well, an Irishman you'll always know, they say, for he wears the Mackinac before his name every single day.
Okay.
It was a little different that second time, but
yeah.
We're talking on the fly here, you see.
So you're making things up, are you?
No, it's the spirit. That is
All
an
right.
old saying. It's a very old saying. And since I have the O before my name, I thought it was fitting that I memorize it.
Oh, that's very good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now, what do you know about Mac and O?
I know there's a lot of confusion out there about Mackinac.
I know that when I first started researching family history back in the 80s and the late 70s, I read in a book it'd say, well, your name could have had an O in front of it, or it could have had a Mac in front of it. And I thought, okay. And it could have been dropped because okay.
Or it could have never had one.
That never had one. At the time I thought how terrible. It could have started off as an O name, and then somebody put a Mac on it when they didn't know what was in front of it, and they wanted to be Irish, so they put the Mac in front of it. How could I trace my family back? I'd be starting off with OLaughlin, and maybe I'm MacLaughlin. Oh, and that's why DNA is so important today. Oh, well, that's the family history extract for today. Remember, we also have podcasts on Irish history, and we have video shorts and some Irish songs, and we have the Irish and American history, as well as the Irish genealogy podcast and the enhanced genealogy podcast. So be sure to check them all out, folks. Well, now it's time for the book of the month, and it's also going to be combined with the county of the month. Here we've got County Meath and Westmeath Ireland, genealogy and family history notes. And as is often the case, that's from the Irish Families Project. That's our 34 book set that I put together over the last 30 years. And we have books on every single county in Ireland. And on some counties, we have 2 books. Of course, the master volume to the set is the Book of Irish Families, Great and Small. There was a lot more that we couldn't put in that book about the counties because it was already about 400 pages long. So we came out with these littler county books to go along with it and to give information just on the counties and the families within those counties. So this one we're looking at today is County Meath and Westmeath. And I think I'll just go over some of those names with you today. Deese or Deasy, Dillon, we all know the Dillons, and Fagan and Fitzsimon and Fitzsimon or Fitzsimmons. You can add an S or take it off there. Same family at times. And these names are all taken from the 19th century Westmeath map that's in the map of the Four Masters. That's in the Annals of Ireland by the Four Masters, another book that I reprinted. De Lacy, of course, is in there, and De Lamar, and Macaulay, and McAvoy, and Gahagan, that's one of the families found pretty prominent back there. That's as well as Nugent and Carberry and Casey, a lot of those Caseys. Coffey, McRourke, Corrigan, Curry, Daly, Dewey, Fay, Fox, Hanrahan, Hanvey, Hennessy, Higgin, Kearney, Malone, O'Laughlin, Malidi, O'Reilly, O'Shiel, Oceanach, which is actually Fox, or it could be a translation into Fox. It all depends. And on one of those British maps, when the Irish were rebelling, you can look on those maps and read it, and over that little territory there, it says the Fox. And that doesn't mean it's one of those 4-legged creatures. That meant it was the Irishman Fox and all his people that were giving him trouble. Then there's Tollard and Pettit or Petit, Twitty, Twit, Tyrrell, de Verdun, and of course Delamere. Sometimes that D is dropped off and it just becomes Lamere. You never know. Or Lamar, De Lamar. They might pronounce that last D, they might not. All these names, you'll see something common. You can add an E or take an E off to most of those names, especially looking in 17th century records. So I just wanted to run those things by you for the county. Westmeath doesn't get enough attention, I don't think. Now it's time for the Magnificent Seven. Hey, and be sure that you take a look at our blog, too. We include some information that's not on the podcast and vice versa. And we also have links in the blog as well as on our enhanced podcast that you can click on and go right to some very interesting places. And, hey, we also later coming up is the Irish county that has ties to Lawrence of Arabia and a castle, no doubt. We got to hear about that in a minute. But right now, here's the Magnificent Seven. Welcome, Mary Agnes Mary Agnes Brown of Amityville, New York, new member. Searching for Collins in the USA and Callan in Ireland, same family. Peter Collins' U.S. wife was Mary Ford, arrived with the sons Peter, James, John, and sister Bridget, born in Stamullen, 1833. Mary Ford died by 1852. Number 2, Thomas Tracy of Talmadge, Ohio. Your Book of Irish Families, Great and Small, has shipped. Number 3, welcome James Kealy of Aberdeen, Maryland as a new member. Searching for Kealy, Barnes, McBride, McManus, and McFarland. And number 4, welcome Deborah Kainer of Virginia Beach, Virginia. Kainer, that could have been Gainer too, couldn't it? Just that C and G being interchanged. Of Virginia Beach, Virginia. Your Families of Clanaroy has shipped. And number 5, welcome new member Janice Kent McKenzie, new member from Caulfield North, Victoria, Australia. Researching grandparents who immigrated from County Cork and County Donegal. Boy, that was a mouthful. That's all I can get to today. I can't even reach inside that bin and get any more out. But you can. This gives me a chance to say thank you to every single member, every single person who gets a little book from us. It helps keep me on the air. Well, let's take a look at the Irish family name of the day. We've picked Weir, and they were going to spell it the way our member spelled it is W-E-I-R, and it's in honor of Elizabeth Harper of Queensland, Australia, who's looking for parents of Martha/Maddie Weir, born circa 1832. She was a widow, and Maddie Craig, when she married Joseph Black in 1858 in Belfast. And it says Malone Presbyterian. It says her father was Joseph Weir, her mother, siblings. What about them? That's what you need some help on. I'm sure she'll share information with you. Related spellings of the name, it can be W-I-E-R or W-E-Y-E-R or W-Y-R-E, or you can even find sometimes it has a Mac in front of it as Mac Weir. It's part of variant spelling group number 240 from the Guide to the Various Spelling of Irish Family Names. Link to that on our blog. And let's take a look at a couple of notes here. You know, most of the name are thought to be Scottish in origin, but it doesn't have to be 100% that way. And the name is traditionally found in the province of Ulster in Ireland, and that makes sense because that's where most of the Scots settled. Now, although sometimes confused with the name of Weir, W-Y-E-R, because of a similar sound, the Weir surname is traditionally tied to Westmeath in Ireland. And you got to take a look at a few instances of the name that we found in the Conquest of Ireland set. That's our 4-book set, found under the spelling of Weir, W-E-I-R-E, or W-E-I-R in the 17th century. Pinner's survey in that set says that Robert Weir is given as a freeholder with regard to 60 acres, along with Gabriel Cunningham and a James Somerville in the north of Ireland. And Thomas Weir of Kirktown is mentioned twice as a cautioner in 1609 in the Fall of Irish Chiefs and Clans. That's the lead volume to that 4-volume set, Conquest of Ireland. So we've got some reference there, and those two we just mentioned, it sounds like they probably would have come from Scotland as they were involved with those land transfers in the 17th century, and that's pretty important for everybody to learn about. We've talked about that before. Now let me see. If we take a look in the Irish Book of Arms, it's not in the Irish Book of Arms, but that's okay. So many names didn't really have a coat of arms to speak of in the old days. Now, I got a special note the other day on Handibode, or Handibode, Handibode, and its variants, and our informant here with an email said that all of that name is a Norman Irish name, and they arrived in the Bay of Youghal in County Cork in 1088, or so he's told by Al Handibode of Savannah, Georgia, who's now passed on. But his family had it researched, and the writer also says that his godmother had it researched at St. Patrick's Cathedral around 1932, and they came to the same conclusion. So I've got another couple of paragraphs on that name on my blog. Check it out if you're interested. Now we're moving on to the next section, and that's going to be the free index search. Well, coming up later this episode, we're going to hear about a Tibetan temple that's to be built in what county in Ireland, and we'll give you a link to that too. And we took a look at our free master index for the Weir name, and we found it listed 17 times. That means it's found in about 17 of our books. Number 1 in the birth index of Ireland. Number 2, the County Antrim Genealogy and Family History Notes book, which is volume 9 of our 34-book set. Number 3, the W-E-I-R-E spelling is found in the 1659 Census of Ireland extract. Number 4, we have an A Weir, R Weir, and both in County Fermanagh and Louth Genealogy and Family History Notes in that book, and that's volume 15 of the Irish Families Project. And we have a T Weir, that's a capital T period W-E-I-R, in the Fall of Irish Chiefs and Clans that I spoke about, and we had that R period W-E-I-R-E in Pinner's Survey, a special census of Ireland. And we've also got a Weir in County Armagh Genealogy and Family History Notes, which is volume 10 in our county series. That should do it for now. Hey, we got coming up, websites of the month. That's going to be fun. Here we go. Oh, we're moving right along today. I can't even keep up with it. We're moving so fast. But here it is, the web page and videos of the month. Number 1, I just picked up Westmeath and went looking on YouTube and found this one. It's some bleating sheep for about 9 seconds in Rathowen, County Westmeath. So if you want to see how the sheep are doing and how they express themselves, you got a 9-second version there, and you get to see the sheep and you get to hear them, and boy, they're in full power. Number 2, Weir Family Origins webpage. It gives one specific family, but then it also gives hints on some other Weir families. They're spelling it W-E-I-R. I've got that link on the blog as well. And number 3, hey, the Boy Scouts have reached 40,000 members in Ireland, and that's a record for them, and they're happy about it. Got that out of the irishtimes.com. Have a link on the blog. Just click it and go. Number 4, hey, we've got a soul song from The Commitments. That was a movie I saw, 20 years ago? It's the 20-year anniversary. So if you remember seeing a movie and it had Mustang Sally being sung in it and a bunch of other soulful songs 20 years ago, that's the one. I thought it might be interesting to hear that song again. So it was on YouTube, and I picked that as one of our videos just because it was an Irish movie and Irish, done in the Irish way. So I hope you enjoy it. Hey, we've also got other video shorts on our webpage. And I'm going to hope within 3 or 4 weeks I can start on those videos again and give some genealogy tips and history notes. And that'll be fun again. But I've been away from that for a year or more. Gosh, I think it's been more. Time's catching up with me. Now it's time for everybody's favorite, the last segment, Curious News and Notes from Ireland Today. Well, before we finish with the commitments entirely, I've also got an article written up in the newspaper from the independent.ie on the commitments and the 20-year anniversary. So if you want to get nostalgic, or you want to go back and see what mom and dad even watched 20 years ago, you might read that article. Number 2, the Kilfenora Kealy Band. Kilfenora is a good town. That's where the O'Laughlins come from, And I'll never forget that. And they're going to be performing at the Cliffs of Moher on Friday, the 15th of October. And, I wonder, since I'm an O'Laughlin and Kilfenora is my hometown, if they'd let me in for free. Talk to the guy at the door. Say, hey, Sully, it's me. I don't think I'd have too much luck, but you don't know. Got an article on the blog? Click it and see. Number 3, Publishing Ireland represents 70 different Irish book publishers, and they've just celebrated 40th anniversary, and the number of books sold in Ireland is going down, so they're looking for markets outside the country. They had 10 publishers at their booth at the Frankfurt Book Fair, and that included Brandon and Maverick House and Liberty's Press, Gillen Macmillan, Oak Tree Press, O'Brien Press, and Veritas. So that's interesting. Number 4, Killoa Castle in County Westmeath near Clonmellon is being restored by a Swiss banker, Alan Krauss, and it was built for the Chapmans in the 18th century. Here we go. There's also a tie to Lawrence of Arabia, as T.E. Lawrence was the illegitimate son of Sir Thomas Chapman, 7th Baronet of County Westmeath, Ireland. Who would have guessed? Number 5, a Tibetan Buddhist temple is being built on Barra Peninsula, County Cork, Ireland, or at least they're raising the funds for it now. I tell you what, it's amazing. Every time I turn around, we've got a new denomination building their first formal purpose-built structures in Ireland. Number 6, got a link to that on the blog. Number 6, the Rose of Tralee winner, Claire Cambamedu, returned recently to her home of Athy in County Kildare. Her father, as the name might tip you off, hails from India, but she came back there after winning the Rose of Tralee this year and met with some other folks and had a good old time and a lot of reminiscing. And boy, you know what? The Irish are all over, and now everybody else is over Ireland too. It's getting hard to tell who is who. And can you imagine finding a name like Cambametu in Ireland 100 years ago when you're looking up your Irish ancestors? That would be an easy name to trace because there'd probably only be one family by that name. I wonder if there's a lot of Cambametus in Ireland now. It could be hundreds of them, and you have a hard time tracing. I don't know. We got a link on the blog. The world's getting smaller, and Ireland's getting bigger all the time. Well, you know what? That brings it up. The Irish Roots Cafe has 7 broadcast series going on and 250 episodes, so I hope you get a chance to enjoy them all, and please do join up as a member and help out. That's all for today, folks. Joseph, warm up those pipes. Remember, we have a broadcast series on Irish song and recitation, on local history of the Irish in America, and on 2,000 years of Irish history, as well as on the counties, and something special coming up on Irish language, I hope. We've got all that and more at our head school at irishroots.com. And we've been known to appear, exhibit, teach, and even sing for your special events. Be sure to book in advance if it's important, and write me at my American address at Irish Roots Cafe, Box 7575, Kansas City, Missouri, 64116. Leave a message by phone at 816-256-3360. Reach me on my webpage at irishroots.com. Skype me at the Irish Roots Cafe. Get me on MySpace, Facebook, Twitter, and Irish Central. Members foot the bill, so they get first priority, but we're open to all. And by the way, a big thank you to all of our members. And away.